So we're going to call the Wednesday, May 18th, 2026 school committee meeting to order. First is the pledge, and the flag is to the left. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is being recorded by Norton Media, and we just request disclosure if anyone else is recording. First up is the Student Spotlight, introduction of the class of 2026 salutatorian and valedictorian.
Okay. I think I'll come stand over here maybe, just because there's a lot of podium, and then that way, no. So tonight I have the honor and privilege of recognizing the class of 2026 valedictorian, salutatorian. I am going to start first with our salutatorian. Benny Yazakevich, come on up, Benny. You have to stand next to me and smile while I say down some nice things about you. So Ben is a very hardworking, curious, and independent student who approaches his education with purpose and quiet confidence. He consistently challenges himself academically and demonstrates a genuine love of learning, strong critical thinking skills, and a willingness to grow throughout new experiences. Ben stands out for his ability to balance independence with collaboration. He's thoughtful, self-directed, and always willing to support his peers while contributing meaningful in group settings. His maturity, humility, and accountability make him a respected leader within our school community. One of Benny's most meaningful leadership experiences has been his involvement in DECA, where he currently serves as president of the Norton High School chapter. After helping lead the organization's most successful year as vice president of membership, Ben stepped into the presidency eager to take on greater responsibility and to help others succeed. His leadership style is collaborative, thoughtful, and focused on growth for both himself and those around him. Ben will continue his academic journey at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where he plans to major in mathematics. So congratulations to you, Ben.
I'm just going to come over here because I don't really like I don't like what's behind you.
Okay, so where did you stand? Is this better?
That's better.
Okay,
yes.
perfect.
Sorry, I'm just picky like that. Are we bringing up his family?
Yes, of course. Come
Come
on
on
up.
up, family.
You'll keep them?
I'll go in the back.
No, you go right over here next to me.
I was joking. You.
I got me.
I was just
Wouldn't
saying,
see
nobody.
And
And
then
then I'll
we'll
hop
with
in at the end.
Make me look taller.
you. Perfect.
Congratulations. Ben, what made you pick University of Wisconsin?
I toured a couple other schools that I got into, and I just really like the campus and like overall compared to the other ones.
Very nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. And now for our valedictorian, Annabelle Griffith. Come on up. Stand here. I can say nice things. Annabelle is a driven, reliable young woman who dreams of eventually becoming a nurse practitioner. She is a once-in-a-lifetime student, one who maintains straight A+ in the most difficult of classes, all while being involved in a multitude of varying extracurriculars, often in leadership positions. Annabelle has taken the highest level courses available to her each year and has won numerous academic awards throughout the past 3 years. While Annabelle has a lengthy list of extracurricular activities, her two most impressive activities are serving as the co-chair of the Education Subcommittee of Governor Healy's Youth Advisory Council and being a student representative on the K-12 Statewide Graduation Council. She has also completed a 2-year internship at a physical therapy center and volunteered at a local hospital, as well as served as Vice President of the English Honor Society, Vice President of the Science Honor Society, the Historian of the French Honor Society, and a coach for Norton Youth Basketball. Annabelle will be attending the University of Michigan and will be majoring in nursing. Congratulations, Annabelle. Coats. So there you go. Okay, practice for graduation. All right, so have Mrs. Lunsford get a picture of us.
Very nice.
And then mom and dad can come up. And I'm gonna give you this, and I'm gonna give you your little blurb too, so that way you guys can see what was written about you. Family first.
Perfect.
She has to go to the portrait setting for
Shrink.
One more. Perfect. Thank you.
Congratulations. Annabelle, life is official.
It's a sore subject, you know what
Welcome to the world. Oh, we're right there with you.
It's not because her mother-in-law lives, or my mother-in-law lives there, that's for sure.
No, it's definitely not because of that.
Well, congratulations to both of you. You guys are gonna need some nice warm jackets for winter in the Midwest. Very exciting.
Congratulations to both of you and your families. This is such, every year that I sit here and I watch the students get presented for these two positions, it's like, it's just incredible, the amount of work that you have to put in and time and effort, and the family support, I can only imagine. It's just, I look forward to hearing about Wisconsin and Michigan and all the great things that you do after you leave here, and please keep us informed in all the things that you do, because I know that you will be amazing leaders and will do great things. So, congratulations again. Anyone else have anything? We're good?
Congrats.
I told her to study less. And she didn't listen to me, so
Look forward to
that was my
hearing
way
your
to do it.
speeches, too.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, all right, well, you are more than welcome to stay, but you don't have to by any means. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. And thanks for being so flexible with dates.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is the public comment. All speakers are encouraged to present their remarks in a respectful manner and consider privacy and interest of others. Speakers must begin their remarks by stating name, address, and affiliation. All remarks will be addressed to the chair of the meeting. Public comment shall concern only items that are within the scope of the school committee's authority. Speakers are allowed 3 minutes to present their material. In general, extensions are not permitted. Speakers may not assign their time to any other speaker. Are there any public comment? Next on the agenda is town meeting articles, discussion, and vote. We don't.
I don't believe we have anything that we need to rehash tonight, so.
Okay. Perfect. All right, next up is vote to approve minutes of the January 28th, 2026 executive session meeting, the May 6th, 2026 open session meeting, and May 6th, 2026 executive session meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes, and are there any changes, edits?
Yes.
Okay.
So, you know me. So, just typo, on the May 6th, both May 6th, it says the next meeting was Wednesday, May 18th. I think that the month, it was supposed to be Wednesday, and so it just needs to get, do we want to switch that back to Monday instead of it saying Wednesday?
Yep.
And then the executive session on January 28th, I was not in attendance for the executive session, so my name should not be on there.
Got it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other edits? Good? Okay. We have to vote individually for each one?
Yes, you'll have to vote individually, yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Are we gonna have to table the executive session one, because Dan's not here,
Yep.
Oh, okay.
so we don't have enough voting people?
For the,
You only have 2.
because Audrey's no longer.
Correct.
She can vote.
And I can't vote on the
So
28th.
that one's gotta be
We'll table.
Just the 28th, you mean?
Yes.
The May 6th is fine.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we'll table the 28th. All right. Motion to approve the minutes of May 6th, 2026 open session meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and motion to approve minutes of May 6th, 2026 executive session meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yep.
Okay. That's okay, guys. It's fine. Okay. Thank you. All right, next up is warrants. I reviewed the following school expense and school payroll warrant. The school expense warrant, May 6, 2026, $651,205.04. School payroll warrant, April 30th, 2026, $1,215,553.47. I've reviewed and approved, wish to enter those into public record. Our student reps are scheduled with other things tonight. And next up, we're going to do, let me just find it. We're going to move up the discussion and vote on the adoption of the high-quality instructional materials for high school math with Dr. Ackerman and staff.
I'm just gonna come up to the board so I can just use the touchscreen.
Yes.
Perfect. So the first thing I'd like to do is just thank the entire curriculum council and the field testing team, including the, 4 folks that are here with us tonight. So Eric and Lindsay and Kara and Karen and TJ. I think every member of the math department either was part of the curriculum council or field tested. So I just wanted to open by saying this is really an acknowledgement of like what a team could do when they work together. I really feel thankful for all the work that the team has put in. So I think that's a nice way to lead us into the...
What?
All right. So this is our adoption. So I just wanted to take a minute to talk about process. So there are basically 4 phases. We spent September and October learning and preparing. We spent November, December, and January investigating and selecting. And then we spent February, March, and April launching our field test. So our goal tonight is to walk us through the process a little bit and then get an affirmative vote from the school committee so we can begin the formal implementation process for these materials starting in September of next year. So the current state of our Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry materials are, they're old. They've been around. When I first got here, we went up into the closet. I think I was with Lindsay and a couple other folks, and there's a fair amount of dust on those books, to be honest. So there are some new, really quality materials that are available. And we were fortunate in working with Senator Feeney's office. We have a $75,000 fair share earmarks tax, otherwise known as the millionaire's tax, to use as kind of a down payment on these materials, and to do that in conjunction with middle school science materials. And then our team, starting back in September, and again, special shout out to TJ, because TJ has been at every meeting. TJ's been integral in working with the team, the visits to Sharon High School, so that we could all do this work together. And so basically, I had alluded to this a little bit earlier, but the table underneath just kind of walks through our activities for each month, who was there, what we did, so that the committee understands this is work that we've done consistently starting at the very beginning of the year. And really, we started with a visioning statement because what we wanted to do was to have our educators and then have our students talk about what would be the features of powerful mathematical learning. So we really kept coming back to this whole idea of we're learning by doing and grit and persistence. We wanted the engaging experiences, but we wanted to make sure that technology was used, but it was also a balanced approach, so that there was some technology, some pencil and paper, and lots of collaboration, and intentional collaboration around the work. And then looking at ensuring that this work was impactful, and that it valued our culture and community of high expectations, that we know all of our students can do hard things, we know all of our educators can instruct on hard things, and that we can get there over time and to do this work together. So we really wanted to look at some specific criteria. So clearly, the standards have to be available in the instructional materials. There has to be some differentiation within the materials so that if educators and or students needed access to different kinds of instruction, that was available to and for educators. Additionally, we wanted to make sure that these curricular materials were aligned to the Massachusetts frameworks. That, I think there was a little joking in the beginning of the meeting that we spent a lot of time working on the previous couple of years. So we want that work to feel like it's been validated. And then really the last piece, it's all about kids. Are our kids engaged? Are the materials that we're looking at, what engages kids the most and what's most resonant for them? And of course, to have an adoption that's fiscally responsible to the district. So I think this is just some additional information. Again, this is a student-centered activity. We want that practice to spiral, not teach standards discretely, but build upon a foundation and circle back over time. Ensure that there's those formative tools, alignment, and that all of these concepts are what we would call scalable. And so the last 2 months, after all the research and narrowing from 4 sets of instructional materials to 2, we've had field tests. So January, February-ish, beginning of March, was from SAVIS AGA, and that stands for Algebra, Geometry, Algebra 2. And then over the last several weeks, in fact, we just closed when? Friday? We finished, the SAVIS field test was first. We finished the Amplify field test second.
No, the other way, switch. We did Amplify first.
We did Amplify. Sorry.
It's hot in here.
It's hot.
It's alphabetical.
There you go. That definitely helps. Thank you.
Math teacher,
Yes.
concrete sequential.
Yes. And so we used the same field test window for both. It was about 3 weeks, 18 to 20 instructional days. We had the vendor come in and provide some additional professional development. Then we had the option for a midway through the field test checkup call. And we had running documents with questions and answers. Without putting any of our educators formally on the spot, we wanted to make sure that they felt like they were supported, because they're doing 2 field tests in the middle of the year with an important decision to make in a tight window. And so we narrowed our 2 to Amplify and to SAVIS, and now I officially have the order right. It was Amplify first and SAVIS second. And our recommendation, and I'm going to just because we had a long conversation this afternoon, just give the team a minute. And our recommendation, which is not on this slide,
Because it just happened this afternoon. It's hot off the presses.
would be Amplify. Amplify AGA.
You guys want to anybody want to talk through what your rationale was, what the things were that you really liked about it, the things that you found challenging, and kind of how the committee arrived at the decision?
Yeah, we kind of went back and forth because they both had really good things. They definitely both had challenging things that we were kind of like, how are we going to work through this? Ultimately, I think that we went with Amplify. It was, again, lots of conversation this afternoon. We went back and forth, and I feel like we did a really good job of putting out all of the pros and cons of both, and like we really had a good conversation. Ultimately, I feel like Kara said it best kind of from the beginning, that she was like, if we're gonna get something new, let's get something new and let's try something different. And Amplify is very different from what we've traditionally done. It's not like, here's a lesson, the teacher's gonna get up and teach it, and then you're gonna do the practice, and then you're gonna get your homework, and it's not that, and that's a little scary to some of us. But it's new and it's different, and the kids are a lot more engaged. Like, there's a lot more stuff that the kids can get involved in. Like, some of it's online, doesn't always have to be. Like, they have the paper and pencil stuff too, but they could get more engaged. Like, there's more there's more communication. Oh yeah,
Between the kids,
Yes.
Between the kids.
Yes, a lot
As
more
opposed to like
conversations.
us teaching, it's more of them talking to each other and building that learning with each other, as opposed to just the teacher delivering the information and then just them accepting it.
So
So,
regurgitating it back to you.
exactly.
They were mad about it at first too.
Because it's different for them
It's
too.
different for them,
Yeah.
yes.
It's different for everyone.
And so how did that go when, you know, obviously it was only 3 weeks, but how did you find the students towards the end of that field test?
I found that they were resistant at first because it was different. But by the end, I think the curriculum materials and the way the program is designed really set them up much better to have those good conversations amongst themselves. And it was much more me facilitating as opposed to standing and delivering, which I think is the direction we wanted to head in. So that was why we kind of landed the way we did. You know, I was like, at first, I was like, no, but then, you know what, I think it's the right choice for us. So that's my personal opinion.
Mr. Burleson?
Yeah, I'll say, the one thing that the book did, because we looked at 4 different books and then we field tested 2 of them, and I went in 2 other schools and actually watched them using Savvis, and we actually went to one school together too as a department. So we definitely saw that it does make us want to reevaluate the curriculum, because not one of these curriculums have certain things that we have. So for instance, we have concepts, so we have Algebra 2 separate. None of these books did that. So it is good that we went through this process, because we can actually reevaluate things that will make big lasting changes to our students, especially students in pre-apprentice programs or students who want to go to college that didn't get to take Algebra 2 because they were in concepts. We can still now reevaluate those things, and this really opens up the eyes, because as far as Amplify goes, it's got a lot more things that are going to make our lives easier, because our kids are going to get into the material without us having to be the ones to tell them to do it. So for that reason, I'm glad that we're going to make this change, and if nothing else, we can use this forever. Like, you can always use Amplify. It's always online. Even after we use this book, you can still use resources online. That'll be the same. So maybe in 5 years it'll be something different, but this is definitely the way everyone is going towards right now.
So I had the best seat at the table. I was sort of a silent observer, and just really kind of listening to the conversations that the math department were having with each other. For me, it's, you know, I'm a proud principal, because, you know, I was a former math teacher prior to going into administration. So math is traditionally taught, you know, teacher-led, you know, and there was a lot of really good conversation of really kind of shifting the pendulum and putting the kid in the driver's seat of their learning. And I give them a lot of credit, because it's sort of more or less taking a leap of faith a little bit, right? Because it's something that they're not traditionally, potentially, I'll say the word, comfortable with, right? But I really feel like in our conversations that there's a commitment there. Like, everyone's kind of all in. So we're really excited about this potential opportunity. I want to give Dr. Ackerman, he really did a good job with organizing this whole thing, and you know, the vendors, and having them come and speak to us, and organizing the trip to, you know, Sharon and everything else, and obviously to my colleagues here. You know, it was awesome just sitting in on that, and thank you for having me be a part of it too.
In Sharon Public Schools, are they using Amplify, or do they use?
They use Savvis.
Oh, okay.
So we did, a whole group of us went out for the day, and it was very, you know, it was very instructive, and we actually, the Sharon High School folks were incredibly accommodating to us. I just feel like, I think to reiterate what the group said, the nature of instruction and the interaction and interplay between students and staff, I think we're at the right time to make a pivot to Amplify, particularly because I feel like that's the appetite of students and teachers.
And cost is the same, close?
More or less. So with all of these, the benefit of an Amplify product compared to some of the other vendors is they're more flexible in your payment window. So if you do a 5-year deal with Amplify, they'll typically allow you to pay in 4. Savvis is typically much more like, nope, it's 2 years no matter what. So we will be able to, using the Fair Share Earmarks grant for this, and hopefully as well for science, to make a nice down payment on a durable set of instructional materials that will not, and I'll work directly with Christine and Jen to have a payment cycle years outward that's reasonable, fair, and predictable.
So how much is it gonna cost?
Roughly, I'll just give you the ballpark, it would be about $25,000 per year.
Over 4 years, so give or take 100K?
So the all-in price for 5 years is like before
It's
I.
139 and change, if
Yeah.
I remember correctly, right?
I think it was 113.
The
Better than 139.
The exact number for 5 years is $113,128.48. The exact number for 3 years is $74,580 flat.
So, and we have 75K to this, so it's really only gonna cost us 20, I don't know, is it gonna be 38,000?
38?
We could, and then the other, this is the left shoe. The right shoe is to try and maintain some space as well for the middle school science adoption, so that we can come somewhat proximal in terms of that allocation and do it in a way that's also fiscally responsible to the Norton taxpayers, bottom line over a period of years. So I've already had conversations with the vendors in contention for science as well about the need to stretch out our windows so that I would come to you prepared for and with a complete amount of information.
And so ultimately, the goal is for us to put the majority of the payment down now. So whether that it's whatever the percentage is of science versus math, and then get us to a point where we maybe are only paying, within 25 to 35,000 over the next 3 years, and that would come directly from school choice. And the goal, as we've discussed many, many times, is that we don't want to be using school choice for staffing or, keeping the lights on. School choice should be utilized to enhance programs and to provide materials that we're not able to purchase within the regular budget. So the goal is for the initial payment to take place with that $75,000 earmark, and then the next 3 years would come from school choice. Just as we did with ELA and math, we tried to break it out I think we did it 3 years with ELA and math when we did K-8.
Yes.
And tried to get those numbers to a place we were comfortable with, and those have been very successful, as you guys are aware of.
So you did your field testing, and then you had like a check-in call, right, with a rep from?
We did.
And did you find them responsive? Were they helpful? Were they valuable? Or were they not so helpful?
I would say from my perspective, yes, but I feel like the teachers would have a better.
I found them very helpful. The only problem was the Savvis one, the second one, the one we didn't go with. The software itself took so long, it didn't work quickly. And we would be, even in class, we'd be telling them we can't get to things in the lessons. And that kind of hurt them in our overall evaluation.
But you didn't have those problems with Amplify. That was a smoother.
Technologically, it was a much smoother experience with Amplify.
And you felt like the support was there too.
Yes, Amplify, they were really good.
Yeah.
The folks who done it.
Can we talk a little bit about what the rollout would look like for the fall in terms of professional learning for staff?
Sure. So what I'd like to be able to do, 2 things. Prior to the end of the year, I'd like to get a touch point for the math team, once we hopefully have an affirmative vote this evening. Then make an order so we can get the books and the materials available, so that for our early adopting teachers who want to go to the beach with their manuals, they can do that, as I get the laughs, because that's what I would do, but you guys know I'm different that way.
Behind your avocado ice cream.
Yes. So, and then we would have opening professional development, that opening day at school for next year. And then there would be a minimum of 2 other, but more than likely 3 other professional development sessions next year. So it would be like September, then another in October, January, March, something like that.
Is there training in person?
Yes, at least, we would insist on at least those first two in person.
You use Amplify for the literacy number in the middle school. So
We do.
You have experience with Amplify.
We
How
do.
have they been with their training?
They're fantastic.
Better than our other training? I'll say, I hope that one is terrible, so is it better than that?
I think it's better. I do, yes.
Okay, so I know we talked a little bit about science, because you mentioned that in middle school. Are you still looking at Savas for that?
That is one of the two.
Okay, how have they been with their technology and their loading of their materials for, have you heard?
My anecdotal conversations have been similar to what I've heard here.
Okay, so do we have a second one that we're looking at?
We do.
Okay.
So the process at the middle school is the same. We looked at a bunch, we field test 2, and then tomorrow I meet with the middle school science folks to get their recommendation.
What were the other two, Matt, that you looked at?
One was Reveal, and then Carnegie.
Carnegie. Okay. All right, so that's going to lead into my next question. Did you look at Curate when you were selecting?
We did.
Okay. Are these on?
Need and ed reports. Everything
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
so.
And these were there?
So the Amplified Desmos AGA is there, yes, but we are waiting for the Algebra 2 part to be finished.
Okay. Sorry, I had a whole list of other things that I just, whatever's been covered has been covered. So in terms of, again, we're talking about how this is going to be sort of a new way of doing things. How is that going to align when it comes to things like MCAS testing, AP testing? Is this something that is going to transfer well? Or is that going to throw them because now we're not used to doing these sort of algorithms or how they're asking us to do this? How is that aligning?
I think it will still end up being fine because it's still the same curriculum, like it's still the same curriculum, still the same frameworks, and we, as the experienced teachers, are going to make sure that the curriculum stuff is still covered. Like, we're not just going to throw all of our curriculum that we've been doing for 20 years out the window. We're going to start slowly and make sure that, like, yeah, this is going to enhance what we've been doing, and then we're going to throw in those extra pieces. Okay, here's a good spot where it's going to make you talk more. So it will be a slow process over that first year, maybe 2, to kind of get them acclimated to it. But yeah, we're not going to just be like, oh, I hope this teaches them everything they need to know for MCAS. We definitely are going to make sure that the curriculum and frameworks are covered.
So that's sending me down a little bit of a rabbit hole. So because typically when you start new curriculums, you want to work the curriculum to fidelity to ensure that you're covering everything that you need for your PD and your questions and things. So if you're using it more in a supplemental sort of way, which is sort of what you described, is that going to be problematic? Is that going to be able to let you know whether this program is effectively fishing out the information that you need for those other pieces?
I think it will, based on our field test that we just did. I feel like it was kind of like that, where we were trying to dive in as much as we could, but also make sure that the curriculum's still being taught. So in the diving in as much as we could, we were getting all kinds of questions and answers, and that's what we were being able to take back to the company and say, this is what we need help with, this is where we need you to fix things or help us or tell us where to find things. So we were still very much able to figure out what was good and what wasn't and what we needed help with, and doing all of that to make sure that we were using the material correctly and as much as we could, while also still making sure that the curriculum was being taught.
I think one of the things that we did, and we were kind of chatting about it prior to the meeting a few years ago, was we sat down and we took all the Algebra 1 teachers and we crosswalked the state curriculum frameworks with our units and our lessons to ensure that we weren't missing anything. And then we did the same thing. All the geometry teachers sat down. We did the same thing. All the Algebra 2 teachers sat down and did the same thing. So the math department has a very strong scope and sequence that currently is, livable, and they have made the materials that we have at this time work within that structure. And so I think this, having a high quality resource that you don't have to pull from 10,000 different places is going to be really valuable with a lot of that scope and sequence work that we've done. And as you mentioned, Laura, you do things with fidelity in that first year, and it's all going to be a learning process for everyone, because I'm pretty sure the math department has not had a new text. And I'm looking at Lindsay when I say this. I'm going to say it's been at least a dozen years, if not more.
Probably, yeah.
Right? And so I think that's been the biggest challenge, is that they didn't have something to draw from. And so the department had to get really comfortable with the frameworks. And we had some great conversations about, okay, like, this is not a standard until we get to pre-calculus. Why are we spending so much time on it in this particular class? So it was really valuable, and I think they have a really strong handle on it because of a lot of the work that we've done in the past.
How is this program in terms of tier 2, tier 3 supports? Are we doing this as strictly a tier 1 curriculum?
It will be strict, they all have supports, but it is designed to be a tier 1.
Okay.
There will be other pieces that can count towards tier 2, but Amplify and Savvis and all of these vendors really designed it to be a tier 1 program.
Just because I don't know.
Yeah.
So what do we currently use for our tier 2 and our tier 3 supports? That's because, do we have any of that for, like, I know there's different types of the math
We do,
classes but
we have different.
are there opportunities if they want to try to do those things,
They would, I would have to look specifically because they typically come with a cost.
Okay, just curious.
But I feel like,
There was a differentiated
Yeah.
section in it, so it was like there were places you could pull things from. With the short field test, not many of us got to pull too much from there, but there is a section that's like, this is the differentiated stuff, and some of it was like extension, and some of it was help for.
And I don't know if it would continue, and that might be a question for the Amplify, but with our field test, we had access to lower grade level content as well.
Yeah, they typically will give you the full.
Right, so
Yeah.
that would be a resource as well if that were to continue with the full program.
And the way that we've worked the last couple adoptions, we've done K-8 math and reading adoptions in the last few years. And so it's been a really great opportunity for special educators and general educators to kind of learn the text and the materials together. And so now that we have this new resource, where do we need to fill in the gaps? What would a language-based classroom need in addition to, right? Because we want to make sure that we're exposing students to grade level standards and rigorous opportunities for them. And then Casey and Brian work really collaboratively to say, okay, this is where we're falling flat in K-5 ELA. What else exists out there that we can use as a supplement to the tier 1 for our students with this learning profile? Or for our students with this learning profile, what does that look like? And so there are definitely things that we're using as resources in all of those programs pre-K-12.
Oh, yeah, Brian and I had many a conversation about that.
Exactly. So I think it's a good opportunity for them to say, okay, just because we've already done it this way doesn't mean that's how we're going to move forward. And these are the opportunities we have for potentially more inclusion, where opportunities permit and the students are ready for that. And then also ways for them to access tier 1 grade level materials, perhaps in a smaller setting, and then supplementing as we need to.
That's what I was just curious to see what that. 2 more, and then I will release you. When it comes to the technology aspect of it, is what are we talking about here? Is it sort of like because I come from the elementary level, so is it like a gamified type thing? Is it the textbook? Is it a combination of things? Is it like simulation problem solving sort of situation, especially with geometry?
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
A little bit of everything. Like the book is there for an online version where they can just go read the book. There are videos.
So what kind of balance did you use in the class while you were
Everything also has print version of every lesson, so it doesn't have to be all technical. Some lessons are just print, but some are digital, and so you could use whichever one you felt worked best with your students for whatever lesson you were doing.
And then, what was the balance that you used when you were field testing between text?
I tried to use both just to make sure, use their digital lessons and then their print lessons.
Are the assessments also digitalized?
They
could do
can
either.
be,
Okay. And then my last question is, did we look at
the alignment from middle school to high school in terms of how this is taught versus what our middle school program, how their math is taught? Like, is this going to be like the freshmen are going to come in and they're going to be blindsided?
No, because it's similar, because it's phenomenologically based.
Okay.
So you start with, like, mid-school math always starts with a story. So like it starts with like a medieval time period and there was a cholera outbreak and you have to look on the grid. So that's like representing the coordinate plane. I feel like that Amplify does a similar thing where they start with a real world connection. So I think it will be substantially similar, the language, the pacing, the technology, for what kids are used to.
Okay. And then my very, very last is that teacher to teacher, teacher who is piloted to teachers who have piloted, you are confident that you like this program and that this is the one that you want.
And so, sorry, Laura, I'm going to mention the pilot component. So you use the word pilot, right?
Yeah.
And so
Field tests.
So, but the difference is that every single teacher taught both programs.
Yeah.
And that was, like, we started doing that when we field tested stepping stones for K-5.
Yeah.
And it was, and as someone who sat on the side of the table who piloted and was really passionate about whatever program I did, to someone who had to navigate the dynamics of every single person did their one and own thing, and you wanted what you wanted because you just spent 6 months doing it.
Yeah, so we never called it field testing in Swansea. I still had taught both programs
Yes,
and
so-
had the choice, so you could be passionate about
Yeah,
the
so I
programs
think
themselves.
that was a huge shift in the way that we did things.
Yeah.
That was started when we did stepping stones a few years ago. But I think you can come to the table with a little bit less, a little bit more, flexibility. Or-
And because we all field tested both, we all found positives and negatives in both. It was close. We did get down to like very close, like one vote, one way or the other. But everyone found good, positives they could take from, especially Amplify, but also the other one. But this one just ended up barely beating it out.
So the students have feedback too?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was similar.
With I guess it's not just a curriculum, in a way, it's almost a new way of teaching, I guess, with the collaboration stuff. Probably not so much a math question, but more of a school question. Do you think when they're learning in math this way, is it going to be tricky to go into history and it's going to be taught the old-fashioned way? Like, how does that all kind of work within a...
So I would say, just to go back, my doctoral program was on experiential learning, which is just more or less student-centered learning. And I will say sciences, history, English, all allow more of those types of opportunities than, say, math. And so I think that the kids are really going to welcome this opportunity to discover, have this academic discourse. For example, in my study, my doctoral program, I had, I interviewed kids, and they said the most engaged they were in class, and it was a very open-ended question, was in chemistry when they were doing labs. So you think about chemistry, probably one of the hardest courses they're going to take in their high school career, and that's when they were most engaged. So this more or less aligns with that.
And then this is, obviously when I was kind of back researching, I guess, if you will, one of the big things that I was reading was Amplify is way more tech-heavy, and Salvis is more traditional. And one of the huge aspects that the non-recommending folks did with Amplify was the professional development aspect of it. If you can't get the teachers to buy into it, it falls flat on its face.
100%.
So obviously having teachers in on the planning of this is great, but where are we going to look like, I know you mentioned 3 PDs. Are we going to be like checking in, kind of how does that go? And then if I'm sensing the room a little bit, it seemed like we were probably a little split on which one to go. So how are you going to bring the traditionalist teacher into this tech-heavy world and meet the kids at
Well, the good news is, because it is both digital and print, teachers always have the option. So we're not going to preordain that you have to use one or the other, because they both do the same function well. Number 2, we always, after each professional development, there's always a survey that's sent out, and I go through each and every line. So if the folks were to say to me after that first Amplify, Brian, ixnay on this person, like it's not a fit. Like we had Tyler, who I think everybody really liked. who we'll try and bring back, because it's all about that personal connection, that relatability. So part of like my big job is to be in service of the teachers. If they say, we like this person, I will get that person. If they say, we don't like that person, I will find somebody else. And then there'll be an ongoing Q&A document that will be open between our team and then the folks at Amplify, so that they'll be able to, in real time, address the questions. And I speak to our rep there, because he's also our middle school rep, probably 2 or 3 times a month, so we can expedite, customer service for our teachers and for our students.
And Mr. Schleicher, I can add as far as that mindset shift. Last year, most of us participated in a year-long professional development with Building Thinking Classrooms, which is a very similar shift in how you present material to students and the expectation of how they will engage with it. And across the board, all of us really really liked it, really saw the value in it. And these materials provide us more resources to do that more. So even some of us who you mentioned, more traditional style, this is still an opportunity, and we've all been willing to make that shift and are looking for more opportunities to do that. So I think this provides a chance for us to do that too.
And just to add on to that, Nick, too, they'll need time, right? And so we can be creative with that. We're in constant communication all the time, and I feel like we're at that part in our relationship, I know I'm still new, where they can have some very honest conversations with me, right? And so if they're like, listen, we're really struggling, like we need more time, then we're gonna try to figure out what that looks like and how to make it happen. So I think honest conversations and honest discourse will continue.
My last question is, end game, whatever. End goal, obviously, is to have better learning students ready for the real world. How has both of these companies, what can these sell you on? Have they, reported improved test scores? Have they reported, what is their, hey, this really works?
Amplify in particular tends to be the highest rated of the vendors across all the subject areas. It's also, and I think we kind of got through that a little bit today, it is the biggest shift because it is the most empirically based in terms of student learning. So we are very optimistic that this, along with the professional learning, along with the Building Thinking Classrooms that we had last year, is going to continue to move the needle for our students.
I know it's slightly comparing apples and oranges, but you've had Amplify for 2 full school years now, or was it 1?
In the middle school?
Yeah.
I feel like this is year 3.
This is, right, so 2 full years.
Right,
because I remember when, I think it started when my daughter was in 7th.
I think my first year was the year that Amplify came aboard.
Yeah.
And then, so this is my 3rd year in the role, so we will be concluding our 3rd year this year.
So have we seen a difference in terms of the MCAS scores when it came to that? And again, I know it's slightly apples and oranges, it's the same company, but different programs. And so I know that's really a kind of hard to judge.
It would be hard for me to answer that accurately, but I think what I will be doing this year is looking, again, like at those longitudinal cohorts. So like grade 6 and 24, grade 7 and 25, grade 8 and 26.
Right, so now you can look at your current 8th graders and see how their progression was.
I think having that 3rd year is helpful to kind of maybe start.
Although sometimes looking at that, I know that it's tricky too, because that first year, everyone's still getting their
There's
feet
always an
wet.
implementation dip.
Yep.
So, yeah, right.
Always.
Right, so seeing from previous to new is not really the best. Yeah, okay.
And then, just more of a question, I guess, for Advent. From a standpoint of middle school, we keep talking about the middle school science. Is we're going to go through another process like this?
June 3rd.
June 3rd.
Only because there are meetings tomorrow, we couldn't do it all at the same time. We forced this to happen tonight, but tomorrow they'll have their review, and this is what happens when you change agenda items towards the last minute. But thank you guys for coming out. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, any more questions? Do we all feel comfortable voting this evening? Yeah, okay, all right. I'll make a motion to approve the adoption of Amplify high-quality instruction materials for high school math.
It works.
That's great.
Yes. Well said.
Oh, so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good luck.
Thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you
the
for
time to do that. I know
Yes.
how much work that is.
Thank you.
Okay. See if we can move kind of quickly through these. All right. Second reading and vote of GBEBC, gifts to and solicitations by staff policy revision, Dr. O'Neill.
Okay, so this is one of our current policies. The only changes in here are the raffles and games of chance section down at the bottom of the first page. And it just states that based on updated Massachusetts state laws and regulations, raffles and games of chance may not be organized by the schools, and therefore employees are not able to participate in such activities unless doing so as a member of the sponsoring organization. So that is the only change there for that GBEBC.
Okay.
And this is a dumb question, but
That's all right.
I'm just gonna say it. Who is monitoring this?
No one.
But it's just, and then,
This is like when you say, can we just break that law? I guess it just depends on if no one's paying attention.
and then when it says by schools, right? So if the softball team wants to do buy scratch tickets and raffle the basket off,
Well, that
you
would
can't
fall
do that because
under,
they're schools.
that would fall under the student fundraising activity, which we're going to get to next, in which students should not be sponsoring games of chance. However, if the boosters wanted to do it, that's a totally different story.
That's right, okay, so I just want to make sure I know the policy. So when this says organized by schools as a sponsoring organization, if they are Norton Public Schools and they do not fall underneath our purview, they can allow us to do these things. So for example, the C2 Foundation does a whole ton of raffle baskets at their golf tournament.
Yep, that has nothing to do with us.
They're good to go, okay. We just can't do it as Norton Public Schools, we're trying to fundraise and do a game of chance.
Correct.
Got it.
But if you're a booster organization, you can, because.
We'll talk about that in the next one.
Right, see? Oh, this is fun.
Yeah, I know, I don't want to confuse it any more than it's already super confusing. So we as an organization cannot.
All right. Make a motion to approve gifts to and solicitations by staff policy as presented, GBEBC.
I hate creating policies that we can't fundamentally follow up on.
It's not so much that we're creating, we're just adding some new laws, updated law to the law that already exists.
I know, but we have no one who's monitoring it.
No.
So we're setting a policy that's just gonna be broken at some point.
Yeah, I mean, this is standard, this is, as an educator, I have to complete conflict of interest law and be certified for that every few years, and all of this is basically just the conflict of interest.
And it's part of it.
It is, so it's the same thing as putting in the full FMLA language in, say, a contract. It's just standard.
One more time.
So moved.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay. Got it.
No one saw that.
Get it. All right, second reading and vote for JJE fundraising policy revision, Dr. O'Neill.
Thank you. So this is student fundraising activities. So this, again, is very similar to our current policy. The change that was made is in E, which discusses students and student groups are barred by state law and regulation from organizing raffles or games of chance, participating in the sales of, or purchasing tickets of such games. So, for example, DECA, as a student organization, cannot do something where they are raffling off a basket of lottery tickets or anything along those lines. They can't do football squares for the Super Bowl because they are a student group. And Mass General Law does not allow students or student groups to do the raffles or games of chance. So that is the big change there. At the bottom, it talks about support organizations, which we will address in the next one, which is KCD.
Comments or questions? Mr. Schleifer.
mean, technically, the enforcement could be too, like someone reports them. And
To
so-
who?
Well, because it's state law, so, I don't know, Labor Commission, I'm not sure.
So ultimately,
What's the penalty?
advisors should
Well,
be
this-
aware of,
yeah.
for this one, advisors and the school principal should be aware of the regulations around student fundraising and student fundraising activities, and know that if a group comes to you with saying, hey, we want to do a football pool for the Super Bowl, they have to say, unfortunately, that is not allowed for student groups in the state of Massachusetts.
Yeah. This one, it makes,
This one's a little
this
bit
one
more-
makes more sense, like, and there's, it's a bit more straightforward than the others. All right. Motion to approve the fundraising policy JJE as presented.
So,
Second. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Next one. Second reading and vote on KBE, Relations with Parent Booster Organizations, Policy Revision, Dr. O'Neill.
Okay. All right, this one, I'm actually sharing this document with you, and then I have some guidelines that are not approved by the school committee, but I'm sharing them with you. They're fundraising guidelines and expectations that Mr. Sumner and I have put together to help us kind of oversee this in a way that makes a little bit more sense. So parent and booster organizations, if they wish to conduct a raffle or game of chance, are able to do so. However, they have to ensure that they are complying with all the state and local regulations around that, which means they have to file the necessary permits, get permission from the appropriate people. So they are able to do the raffle ticket for a lottery basket, or to do Super Bowl squares. That is allowed because they are a parent support organization. And so ultimately, the new regulations takes the gambling, so to speak, out of the hands of students in the schools themselves, and it's only allowed through the parent support groups. So that is the change there, which is a number 4. And if you take a look at the guidelines that I shared with you, Mr. Sumner and I have reached out to all of the boosters, organizations, parent boards, and asked them to meet with us virtually between now and the end of the year. And at that time, we are going to be sharing with them really just these guidelines and expectations, because there have been changes in regulations. So some of the things that our policy states, but we don't, as Nick mentioned, who's overseeing this? We're trying to tighten that up a little bit. They are supposed to maintain clear, accurate financial records, which should be submitted to us each year. If they are going out and using the name of Norton Public Schools, we should know what they are fundraising for and what that money has gone to. And then, use of funds must directly benefit the student teams, or the school programs. It's not to be used for personal gifts or compensation or stipends outside of the approved district process, which is part of our contract. And they should not be for non-student related expenditures. So this is for you all to kind of take a look. And that's something that we will be working very closely with the boosters and parent boards as we move forward into the FY27 school year.
I think we are going down a very slippery slope, asking these parent groups who are donating their time and their money and rallying grandma and grandpa to give funding, to be asking them when it has nothing to do with Norton Public Schools money being put into these things.
I think the hard part is that they're fundraising under our name. And so if they're fundraising on behalf of Norton Public Schools and a Norton Public Schools event or activity, and then they're going out and buying things that have nothing to do with that booster, I think that comes back on us. And so that makes it hard, right?
It's just, yes, again, who's monitoring, all right, we'll do softball again, who's monitoring that happens? Is it Christine?
The expectation is that it gets turned into Christine and Aaron in July each year. And that, I mean, I can't imagine that we're going through things with a fine-tooth comb, but there's also the ability to say, what happened here, or this is, you know, you went to, I don't know, I'm just making things up at this point, you know, went to this bar and you spent all of this money, what does that have to do with going and stuff? Or going and stuff? Not that I'm saying he's rude.
And I know though, like it's a 403B organization, for example. I mean, they have to maintain and keep very specific records. Now, as being a 501c3, are they under the same similar
Yes.
purview?
Yeah.
So then this is not like,
Tax exempt.
it's not additional work per se, because it's just really supplying a lot of that.
What about
sort
need?
of- Need's gonna operate the same
Need
way.
will have to be the same way.
Yep. Yep, any organization that uses, you know, Norton Public Schools, this is who we fund, or this is who we support, has to. And again, it's not an extra lift per se, because they're already keeping those records. So they're just supplying them out to the school, just to make sure that these organizations are staying honest.
I just think we're adding work. Adding a lot of work. And God forbid something happens and someone does go spend money at the bar. We're the ones who are now overseeing it, so now it's our problem.
I think it's our problem anyway. Unfortunately, there have been situations in the past where things have not been done appropriately and the district has to get involved.
So by doing this, that brings that to light quicker, correct? By them having to supply this information annually? Yes?
I hope so.
Right, like,
I mean, in the past, things have not been, and this is currently our policy anyway, is that they are supposed to provide us with this information.
No, great, this is all new, right?
no.
That's just procedure.
That's-
We can change any of that. That's not what we're voting on.
We're
Yes.
voting on
So,
Yes.
Was it only 6 added to this? Like, was this the rest of it?
4 is there, 4 was new.
Right, because that's what the raffle was giving us a chance.
If you look back at JJE, the last one,
Yep.
this was already in our policy. Fundraising policy guidelines will be distributed to all recognized support organizations annually. Each support organization shall submit an annual summary that details fundraising activities, amounts raised, and distribution of such funds for the completed school year. That already exists in our policy.
Yeah, I don't know, these parent groups, you get a person who's real good, and keeps all the stuff on there, ready to roll, and then a new person comes in, and some lady graduated, and then, I don't know, I think we're opening a can of worms that we haven't had an issue with. I don't know why we would want to jump in on this without the proper overarching manager.
So JJE, that already exists within that policy, which we just voted again.
Correct.
I'm more than happy to chat with people about the fundraising guidelines. It's really just kind of putting them into practice, what already exists.
I think, I was just going to say, I think also having the guidelines and expectations, which is very similar to what they have in different, I'll call it business manager manuals that aren't by law, but they're like guidelines. It helps because we do get questions. Like Erin and I and Jen, we get questions from boosters. Can we do this? Are we allowed to do this? And this kind of just helps a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like this whole thing. I think this is good. It's kind of clean. You can hand it out to everybody. Here's your rules, whatever. Like I said, I always get, again, I hate doing policy that we are not procedurally able to potentially handle if something goes wrong. Because then it comes back to us saying, you have a policy and who's following up and who's taking care of it. You know what I'm saying? I just don't, that's my,
Well, it sounds like it's only Christy and Aaron, unfortunately.
But who, so let's just say, some group does this to get their hand slapped the first time, they do it the second time, to do it a third time, to do it a fourth time. Do we're going after Aaron because of a parent booster?
No, I mean, ultimately, if they are a 501c3 organization, their duty is to the state
So
as a
And
nonprofit.
that's exactly what I'm saying. Let the state handle it, don't get us involved. That was my, if they're doing it illegally and whatever they're doing is wrong, let it go to the state. Why put ourselves and subject ourselves to now being a part of that thing as well? And then, like I said, if we can't handle the procedures behind it, because again, I can't imagine being an athletic director, looking over this and trying to corral 25 different sports, not to mention of all the needs and the arts and everything else that we have going on. And you're relying on parents, not paid employees of town. What are you really holding them to besides, please be a good person? Please be a good person. Well, if they're not a good person, now we've injected ourselves into a mess.
So hypothetically, or just, go down this road with me for a minute. So, let's take a quick ride. We don't have a lot of time here. All right.
This has to be very fast.
So, basically, as Laura said, they should already be completing this annual report every single year. What we're simply asking them to do is provide us with a copy of it. So if 5 years from now, I have someone who comes to me and says, I believe X, Y, and Z is mismanaging funds, and I'm looking for this information, like we can say, okay, we have the last 5 years, everything seems, we're in good place, like how are we, and then you can turn that over as evidence, I don't know.
But see, that's what I'm saying.
Ultimately, they
So, hey,
should
you're
be providing it to us anyway.
Correct, but if you're mismanaging funds, don't come see us, that's on you, go to the state. It's a state issue, it's not our problem.
But you know what though? They always come to us. Just like other things that are not our problem,
Yeah, but like,
they
see, but
always
like,
come to us.
To me, it's just like we're opening that can of worms that we're injecting ourselves into this. When if we just let it, we have no idea, it's with the parents, and if you think something's being mismanaged, go see whoever at the state level
So,
to get it.
I feel like that is more of this page, fundraising guidelines. This is not, this only says that all parent
Number
owners
4.
or number 3 is shall obtain 501c3 status, file appropriate paperwork with the state authorities, make proof of such status available. So basically, whatever they file to the 501c, we just have on file.
Correct.
Now, as far as the other parts to that, where it's like where that money has been going, that is like this guidelines thing. So maybe we just vote on the KBE policy, and then if we want to have further discussion on this,
Absolutely.
we can add that to the agenda. Does that make sense?
Or you guys can even just send me your thoughts and we can update, because it doesn't have to be voted by school committee.
Right.
Yeah, only possible.
This is just to get this in there, because this is really only updating because of the gambling.
Gave a chance to
Yeah.
add on to the law.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's see. Motion to approve relations with parent booster organizations policy, KBE.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay. Second reading and vote on JLCD, administering medicine to students policy revision.
Okay, as discussed at our last meeting, this is simply protocol for how we administer medications to students based on Massachusetts general law. It does have updated areas in terms of self-administration, delivery, storage, etc., as well as administration of epinephrine. So this is simply a managerial change. Really nothing is actually changing in how we distribute.
Questions, comments? Good. Motion to approve administering medicine to students policy as presented, JLCD.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, review and vote on school committee meeting dates.
We have a calendar of events for the upcoming school year. We like to begin our year visiting each of the 5 schools. The principals will do an opening of school report. And so the first 5 meetings are scheduled to be at the Yale, then the high school, then the middle school, then LGN and GCS, with our meetings at the Crane Room beginning on Wednesday, December 9th. And then all the following meetings will be in the Crane Room at Town Hall. We would add our budget workshop, typically probably late January, early February. And then if, of course, we needed to have something before for spring or fall town meeting, once those dates are published, we would do the same as well. So, happy to take any feedback on those.
I think when we did it, I thought it was great. I know it's not ideal, but doing one before school starts, I
Yeah.
always think is a good idea. Bring everyone back together, make sure we're ready to roll. That I would, go whatever, 2 weeks back from September 9th, and potentially put a
26th.
opening meeting there.
We could do the 26th,
Sorry-
and I would put
Sorry
that,
for ruining your service.
no, I'm here anyway. August 26th, that would be in the Crane Room. Because we wouldn't want to do a school return before the school.
Yep.
Okay. All right, that's easy, we can add that.
Great. Motion to approve school committee meeting dates with the addition of Wednesday, August 26th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Discussion and vote superintendent conflict of interest disclosure for extended school year program.
Thank you. So this is the second year we've done this. My daughter Kaylin has been recommended by Mrs. Russo to be hired as a student assistant at Norton High School for the extended school year program. She works directly under the teacher in that classroom and is hired and appointed by Casey. So I just wanted to let you all be aware of that, and I just need a vote on that as well, please.
Okay. Motion to accept conflict of interest disclosure as presented. Oh, do I have to read this whole thing?
No.
No, okay. Sorry. Motion to accept the conflict of interest disclosure as presented.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Good luck, kid.
Have fun.
She actually really loves working with high school students, so great. All right.
Do we want to do a strategic plan, or do we want to?
That is up to you. We can table it if you'd like.
But it's insane, no?
I know.
Or,
Yeah.
and also take a look at it if you have any specific
Yeah.
questions. I think it's pretty thorough. The majority of our items we are in great shape with. There's a couple we're still working on
Okay.
this
So we
calendar year.
add it to June 3rd.
Yep.
June 3rd. Okay, perfect. We'll do that.
June 30th.
Yeah, I know. It'll be a long one. All right, other business topics not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance.
Jen, can you just highlight quickly about the absenteeism and the designation?
Oh, yes. So on Friday, we got a letter from the commissioner congratulating Norton Public Schools on our work around chronic absenteeism over the past year, and that we have been able to reduce the number of students that were chronically absent by over 5% from this time last year, which is really exciting. Kudos to Dr. Ackerman, the rest of the team, principals, the teachers in all the buildings. It has been a big push for us this year, and we're excited to be recognized, because oftentimes good work goes unnoticed, so it's really exciting to see that. If I can say one other thing, congratulations to the class of 2026 who did their senior service day today. Of all those students, they performed over 700 hours of service today alone in all different venues around our school community. Thank you to Dr. Flanagan, Mr. Portway, and Benson Chang for leading the charge, and to all of the community partners that welcomed our students today, and for the teachers and the staff that accompanied them. So, great.
And I hope they all have fun at prom on Friday.
Yes, Friday night, fun day prom.
All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Good night.